Hello, I'm Pix, and I am a triangle strategy speedrunner. Today I am going to be talking about the World Free of Sin New Game Plus speedrun. Triangle strategy speedrunning splits into 8 major categories. First there is New Game and New Game Plus. New Game Plus is a lot more popular. It's a lot faster because you're carrying over stats, items, and equipment, which we'll talk a lot about from previous runs. And then within New Game and New Game Plus, there are also the 4 endings to the story. This one is a World Free of Sin, which is going to be Roland's ending. This is the most popular category because this is also the fastest. So a World Free of Sin New Game Plus is the most popular run because it is also the fastest 80% run for this game. So this game was recently re-released on PC. It was originally released on the Switch in early 2022. It was released on PC later that year, and since it has been re-released on PC, there's been a lot of routing energy because the game runs a lot faster. There's been a renewed interest in speedrunning this game over the past couple of months. There's been a lot of changes to the routes over the past couple of weeks, so I'm going to go into some of those route changes as well, why we do some of the things that we do, and just kind of showcase some of the great work that's been going on in the Triangle Strategy speedrunning community. So without further ado, we will hop into the run. So what you'll notice is that the timing on this is going to start when you select your difficulty. So runners would like to start from a completed file, usually from the golden ending. From the different endings, different characters may leave your party, but in the golden ending, you will retain all of your characters, which allows you to optimally equip everyone. Timing starts also when you select your difficulty, so it's advised to clear your quick saves by loading your quick save and then loading the New Game Plus run. That's going to save you a few seconds. When you get into Chapter 1, this showcases an older strat that we still use in a couple of places, which is Frederica's Sunfall nuke. So we're going to use the Quahaug, which are these one-time use spells, which are going to allow us to buff Frederica. She's also equipped with the Vanguard Scarf, which allows her to go first. You're going to see that on a lot of these early maps. We're going to be abusing Frederica's ability to go very quickly and deal a quick amount of damage to help clear maps. So we're using Fleet-Footed to increase our movement range. We're also using Battle Cry to get the 5 TP. And now Frederica is going to release, or begin charging a Sunfall. Sunfall takes 1 turn to charge, and then it releases on your next turn. So Benedict will follow up with In Tandem. That's going to move Frederica's turn next and release that Sunfall that we just charged. We're also going to 2-fold turn Serenoa. So we've cleared a lot of the bulk. Serenoa is going to use his 2 turns to clear out Travis and Trish, these two bosses on this map. So you kind of have to mash the fast forward in between when they talk, and then Serenoa is going to come up and we're going to bait this bandit at the bottom left. We use Roland's opportune attack. Roland does an automatic attack when he moves 5 or more squares, I believe, and so using that, Roland can get a kill on just a regular attack. Serenoa baits that bandit in place. Frederica comes up and closes it with Blazing Chains, and then Roland will go opportune attack and finish the first level. This has been a little bit of a recent change. This is not much faster than the old strats, but this is a lot more consistent. So Chapter 1 could be a high reset chapter for you. Serenoa has a tendency to miss those hawk dives, and so this is one where we barely have to use Serenoa for anything other than throwing items, and we're going to throw a lot of items in this run. One of the things that you have to manage in this game is knowing when you can skip and when you have to fast forward. So both of those 2 cutscenes you could not skip. This next one you are going to be able to skip. And it's just knowing when characters are leaving your party, when characters are joining your party. Those are things where you're not going to be able to skip. So that concludes Chapter 1. The World Free of Sin run has 20 chapters. The early game is not exceedingly complex, but a really subtle thing happens on that map. So Roland enters your party. He has his equips from the new game file that you finished previously. But Roland leaves your party after chapter 1. And when a character leaves your party, they get unequipped. And so this is something that we're going to use a couple of times as characters leave our party and their accessories become free. Roland has an accessory called the critical bracelet, which increases his critical hit damage and makes Roland one of the hardest hitters in the game, and it's something that we use on a few maps. So that Gigant scene is one that we fast forward through. Now we get to some skips. When we get to Whiteholm Castle, there's going to be another one we have to fast forward through, and you kind of just have to manage fast forwarding, knowing when your text boxes are. So now we're moving into the tournament map. Roland and Hewitt are going to rejoin our party. We're going to mash through our convictions, usually by mashing up and enter very quickly to try to clear that menu as quickly as possible. And once this exploration phase ends, we'll move into the battle phase. So because Roland got unequipped, we're going to go ahead and re-equip Roland now. In the old route, we used to re-equip Roland in chapter 14. So this is some time saved for us later in the run. This strategy used to be a Sunfall nuke map with Frederica. There's been a recent change to this one. So we're going to see here, Narv comes in. Narv is one of the mages. Going to step in, swap places with Roland, and we're also going to move Anna to the front row. Anna is one character that we use a lot because Anna has a passive ability to have 2 actions on her turn. So that gives her the ability to do basically twice as much damage. So we're going to in tandem Narv. Frederica goes first because of the Vanguard Scarf. And we're going to move up and we're going to scorch these groups of Hyzant soldiers.
Shall we begin? To battle,
The boss initiative lets them move out, but Anna's going to be able to move in and clean these up. And now we're going to 2 full turn Roland, who is coming up next, and Roland is going to finish the map. When you knock out one of those boss characters, they usually have some tech, so you have to be ready to mash through that and also fast forward and then stop fast forwarding when they're done, because the game will automatically fast forward for you, and if you are trying to manually fast forward, you won't, and so it will go a little bit slower. Now we're going to move into the first one of our sort of conviction phases. Throughout the game, you're going to have to vote on which route your characters are going to take. So here we have the option to go to Hyzant or the option to go to S-Frost. In a speedrun, we choose to go to Hyzant because the Hyzant map is just kill 1 enemy, and the S-Frost map is to kill all enemies. So we're going to see the Hyzant map is very quick. But when you get here, there's a brief sort of talking phase. This is a faster one because we're going to skip. The default is to go to Hyzant, which is what we want. It's always great when you're able to skip a vote. And so now we have to fast forward through everyone putting in their tokens and then mashing through this. This one is also going to have one of these conviction discussions when we head into the Hierophant's Palace. We have to give our thoughts. So I already moved my mouse onto the spot so I could start already just mashing a click on that spot to clear that as quickly as possible. And now we're just going to skip ahead a few more times. There's going to be an exploration phase as well. And then we're going to roll right into the battle against the rebels at the Ministry of Medicine. So for Frederica's skills, she has a choice skill where you can buff either Scorch, which is her AoE damage, or you can buff Blazing Chains, which is her one enemy damage spell. So by buffing Blazing Chains, we are able to get a one-hit kill on Plinius here on this map. And since Frederica has the Vanguard Scarf, she's going to move first. We're going to use our Quietus here. So we're going to use Light Wave to move her in position. I use the plant in front of the house as a visual cue of where to be. It'll make Blazing Chains automatically target Plinius as well. But without the buff to Blazing Chains, this is something that you would have to do with a Sunfall. So it's a lot faster to buff Blazing Chains, and there's a few places where we do opt to use Blazing Chains. I think you have to do it to be in kill range on the Chapter 6 map as well. And that's going to be another one that moves very quickly. So now we have to fast forward through Corentin joining our party in this run. We're going to say hi to Corentin right now, and then we're going to say goodbye to him in Chapter 4 when it becomes time to put our soldiers out. We really don't have a use for him in a world free of sin. So now we have a lot of menuing here. We're going to be going to the Rosellan village, and we're going to have to go through an exploration phase there. We're also going to have a few cutscenes, one at the mines with Dragan that we can't skip, so it's just one that you have to know is coming up and be ready to fast forward and mash through. Chapter 4's battle is where we're going to start to flex some of the muscles that the speedrunning community has been working on. There's going to be a really nice route that comes together where everyone has a responsibility to clear the map as quickly as possible, and we're going to utilize a couple of characters that we have not seen so far. So Dragan is giving us a book, an important plot point that we will forget about until Chapter 16, but we have it. So in this battle, S-Frost is ambushing Dragan because of what's been found in the mines. And so our job is to protect Dragan, and we're actually going to manipulate Dragan to do a little bit of work for us. So we take 4 characters out. We're going to bring in Milo, Medina, and Piccoletta. Piccoletta is one that has started to get a lot more use lately. Piccoletta has an ability called Intensive Items, where her items will do more damage. She also can throw them from further away. Milo has Moon Jump, which gives her a lot more mobility on the map. And then Medina has double items, which is really good. And she also has the TP Physic ability, which allows her to charge your mages. So this is going to be another Sunfall map. We're going to send Frederica forward. And we're going to clear out this entire group of S-Frosty soldiers. We're going to get Frederica 3 turns here. But we're going to use Anna's double ability to clear this front row. Medina is going to follow up after that. Benedict is going to use now. That's going to set off the Sunfall.
Shall we dance?
Frederica has the TP plus ability, so when she gets a KO that gives her a point of TP, and then she's going to have her natural TP regen to have Blazing Chains ready again.
That must have hurt. Let me show you what I've learned.
And that allows us to get the KO here.
Heed my call.
We had Milo Moon Jump. That Moon Jump and the Firestone is going to get it to where Dragan can kill that archer up there, and that allows us to get the AI to go up there and be helpful. Because those characters are faster than Dragan and will clear the map.
Defeat is not an option. Thought you had me, huh?
This is one of the, I think, longest in use strats. This was a strat from the Switch era. This one actually has not This one actually has not changed. In the reroutes, we have seen so far, we've seen 1 and 2 change so far. 3 is also not changed as well. That one's pretty straightforward. 5 and 6 also have not changed since the game was run on Switch, and you're going to see that these are 2 very quick maps. While we're going through a little bit of downtime, so I did mention you get to roll over all of your equips from your new game file from before this. So there are a lot of speed bracelets, strength bracelets, and magic bracelets in use. Those are the best items that buff those respective stats. And we have very particular turn orders because of those exact speed values.
Shall we?
On this map, we're clearing everyone off the map, especially people that are faster than Roland. And we're going to get Roland to the front. The goal is just to get Roland to the end of this map. So in a vanilla playthrough, you would probably think you kind of have to fight your way there. But with twofold turn and fleet-footed and light wave, we're actually going to be able to cross the whole map in basically 2 turns for Roland.
Splendid.
So we're going to Fleetfoot. I'm trying to get my mouse ready here to click further ahead, but I kind of flubbed the input, so it actually slowed this down. But we're gonna do this. We're gonna use Rush to move through the barricade, and then we're gonna go straight onto the ending spot, and that's gonna be the end of Chapter 5. Five and 6 are stressful maps. When you speedrun, the strats are very simple, but because they're optimized to the way they are, you're really trying not to lose time in those. They're very frustrating maps to lose time on. My previous PB in this, the 107, actually messed up in Chapter 6 and took on an entire extra like 30 seconds in it, which is where we're going to see the first big batch of time saved compared to a PB. The current route and this current run goes at 105.42. Comparing some golds between myself and Shay, we think this route is sub 105 in its current state, but we're always looking for ways to make this route faster. We're always encouraging anyone who has thoughts to join us in the speedrunning Discord. But Fred is going to use Blazing Chains to clear that guy. That guy actually has the second turn on this map, so by Frederica going up and killing him, even though you don't have to complete the objective, we skip his turn. And enemy turns are slow.
Let me show you.
So Fred's getting 2 turns. She's light waving through the gate. She's already been fleet-footed, and now we're going to go and secure the bridge. And again, that TP plus ability and the additional Blazing Chains damage synergize really well there, so that she can not only knock out both characters, but she also retains all the TP she needs to do it. Anna does get a turn on that map because she is faster than Benedict, but the cost of just skipping Anna's turn versus going into the menu and taking her out, it's just not worth the effort. So now we're going to move into the most exciting chapters of the game. 7 through 11 are, I think, some of the most interesting parts, and this features the bulk of the new rerouting that's been done. So this is also where we see divergence from the 3 non-golden endings, A World Free of Sin, Calm Seas, and the Endless Path, and the golden route. So we opt in all 4 routes to keep Roland and fight General of Laura versus giving up Roland and having to go fight the Fox Domain. What you get is Chapter 8 is a lot faster, and if you are not on the golden route, we have the ability to use the fire traps, so we're going to be able to clear it. We're going to be able to showcase a really interesting discovery about how this game works. Unfortunately, this means that we are going to have to convince someone, so we opt to convince Benedict because he is close. Eridor is already on our side. Huet is already on our side. Roland is not Roland, sorry. Benedict is the closest person that we are able to convince. So I mentioned before, and while we're heading into 7, a World Free of Sin is the fastest route. Currently, it is at a 105. If we use the switchboards as a comparison, the Endless Path should run probably about 2 minutes behind a World Free of Sin because of the different end games. And then Calm Seas is the slowest non-golden ending. There hasn't been a lot of runs on some of the other endings since the game has been re-released on PC. There's a lot of work going on Golden Route rerouting right now, so we anticipate to see a lot of activity in that over the next few weeks. I know it's one that I've been kind of interested in, but I've also been really interested in pushing a World Free of Sin as low as possible. So because we're not on the golden route, we're going to opt to activate the fire traps. But there's an interesting thing to know about this game. And I think this was discovered by Quahaug, but this map has reinforcements. However, if you are able to clear every enemy on the map before triggering the reinforcements won't trigger. So the reinforcements don't trigger if everyone is dead. So we're going to do some particular moves to kill everybody at the same time. And so this is us debuting Quahaug, who is a massively important character for the speedrun, Julio, who's also very important, and then Giovanna, who's actually seen a very recent rise in usage because Giovanna has, I believe, the best movement of anyone in the game, but she's very slow, so we haven't used her a ton.
I see a path to victory.
So we're going to start by two-folding Quahaug. Quahaug has the ability to warp people as well as cast haste, so that's what we're going to do the most. So we're going to move Maxwell forward and we're going to slide Quahaug up as much as we can. Medina is going to use TP Physic to put some more TP into Maxwell. We're going to use In Tandem to move Quahaug's turn next. We're going to use Critical Blow to increase the damage that we do, and we're going to use Maxwell's Weapon 3 skill, which is why we need 5 TP of High Jump. So that does damage and that moves us forward. We move to a very particular spot because we're trying to bait the enemies into the fire traps that we're going to set off later in the map. Avlora has plot armor, and she does not want to walk into the fire traps on her own, so we need Quahaug to do it.
You have my thanks.
Julio's using his ability to give people TP to buff Giovanna. Giovanna is the one that's going to activate the trap. And this is also the first map where we see the meme of Serenoa wins by doing absolutely nothing. So all the enemies are moving very nicely into place. This is a recent reroute by Ninpo that's worked really well. We used Gaia's Roar to activate 2 traps at once. And so it kills Maxwell and it kills Quahaug. They'll be fine, they're back next round. But it also wipes the whole map at once. And it makes this incredibly fast. This is one of the biggest pockets of time save that's popped up recently. And it's just a really cool strat. We do have a strat for Golden Route too. We're gonna see it used on other maps where we use Azana's lightning ability to do the same thing. But on this map, it's faster for us to use the fire traps. The Azana setup is pretty slow, but we will see it in 16 and 19. By going this route in Chapter 7, you also have a shorter Chapter 8. The Chapter 8, if you give up Roland, is you have the showdown between S-Frost and Hyzant, and you decide which side you're going to be on. And that's kind of a protracted battle, whereas this one, we're going to rebuff Silvio Tellior, and we're going to have just a kill one enemy battle. This will be the first time that we see Rufus. On the old route, we used to kill Rufus 3 times. He now only has to get his ass kicked twice. This is going to be another very quick map. This is going to be another one where we showcase Frederica's ability to go quickly and cover a lot of ground with Light Wave, as well as the Vanguard Scarf. This is skip vote. We love skip votes. Skip votes are very fast. So we'll have an exploration phase here. Some of the initial golden route testing, Frederica actually comes out on this map. We haven't talked a lot about battle setups, but that is going to be something that's consistent between a lot of these runs. On the 3 non-golden route endings, the route is effectively the same until chapter 17. So just knowing which enemies are coming out, which enemies are going in, which spot everyone needs to be on, and how to get them there quickly is an important skill to running this game. But it's going to be the same between every battle, so you just have to know quickly who to set up. In this case, we know Frederica's already in a good spot. She's the only person that matters on this map. We immediately start. Rufus, for some reason, just doesn't opt to hit us. He just wants to yell at us.
I see a path to victory.
So Benedict is going to use in tandem. We're trying to use the Q and E menus to cycle through characters quickly, instead of moving the mouse cursor down or moving the cursor down with the arrow keys. Moving the mouse cursor doesn't really work if things are off camera, and then moving the mouse over the keyboard over a long distance is pretty slow. So Q and E can go fast if you know your swaps and know how much you're trying to do. That one was not great, but did not lose that much time over PB. Chapter 9 is also a relatively new reroute, so you have the option to go to either S-Frost or Hyzant. If you're playing the Golden route, you have to go to S-Frost, and historically we had been going to S-Frost on all of the routes. We had originally been doing it because we thought that the Chapter 9s were roughly the same, but the Chapter 10 for going to Hyzant is slower because there's a trial, but we're going to see another character that has some really nice niche usage, Decimal, who's also a fan favorite, who's going to be able to help us clear 9, and I'll talk a little bit about the particulars of how Decimal works and why it's really good for that map when we can see the map for 9. But Decimal can target characters based on their HP value, if it's divisible by 3 or by 4 or by 5, if it ends in a 7, or if their height is more than 5 units different from his height. The weakness for Decimal, though, is that Decimal doesn't have any natural TP regen, so he has to be battle cried, or you have to use a Medina or a Julio to give him the TP necessary to use his spells, which is what keeps him from being incredibly broken. But we do still have some really interesting uses for him here in 9 and also in 11. Another really nice part about this reroute to Hyzant in Chapter 9 is that we also get to skip a vote. The voting sections are slow. So before we had to convince Benedict in this one, now we get to just immediately advance into the voting phase.
The wave.
So now we're on our way to Hyzant, and we're going to see a fairly quick setup for 9. So there is an exploration phase here. What you're going to see is this map is kind of like a gorge, ravine. I'm not a geologist, but there's an elevation difference here. And we're going to exploit that with Decimal because you start down in it. This map can be really tough because there's an elevation disadvantage and there's a lot of archers, but you just kill most of them before they get their turn, then that's great. We're going to take a few people out, we're going to put Decimal in. We don't really use more people than we need because we don't want to skip turns. Medina and Julio are going to primarily function to feed TP to Frederica and Decimal. We're going to use Benedict's twofold turn. We're also going to use Quahaug's ability to warp people to get somebody in the right place. We're just going to hit Booker right off the start. We move to a particular spot because when Medina uses a ranged HP pellet, it's going to hit both Decimal and Frederica. We actually don't have to do double items, we only need to give them each 1 TP point. Quahaug is going to move that character down. It also baits some movement later. And then Frederica is going to use Medina uses fast acting medication. It functions the same as in tandem. It moves Decimal's turn up. So we use our first height 5, and now Julio is going to do in tandem and fleet-footed because we will need fleet-footed after this, so we just pair the movements here. And then also Inheritor to give Decimal all of his TP. So Decimal's going to clear the map here. And now there's going to be a little bit of cleanup. Sereno will use Light Wave. His turn is very conveniently timed to just go right over there and bop this healer from the back. And then because of where Quahaug is, he actually baits these two enemies into a line, which gets Frederica to move in range to use Pillars of Fire, which is an AoE that moves laterally like that and hits both of those enemies. So the previous route through S-Frost was about 7 minutes and 20 seconds for the chapter 9 fight, and then it was about 2:45 for chapter 10, and then we see this come down to 6 minutes for chapter 9 and closer to 3 minutes for chapter 10, so it nets out to about 1.5 minutes of time saved from switching to a Hyzant 9 versus the S-Frost 9 because of the ability for Decimal to quickly clear that map for us. So we do have to go through this trial phase, which has some scenes where we have to fast forward. We also have to make a lot of menu selections because we're trying to prove Sorceley's guilt. But we just don't do that. We just mash the top thing. So now we're moving into the trial. We're going to fast forward through as much of this as we can, and then also be ready to quickly match up inner. Try to get those as quickly as possible. When you go to S-Frost for Chapter 10, which you have to do in Goldenroute. There is a voting phase to determine what your Chapter 10 fight is going to be. That's skip vote in non-Golden. In Golden, you actually do have to vote and do the alternative 10, which is a lot slower. But now we're into the arena. This is going to be where we use the missed opportunity Quietus. So Sorceley would go very quickly. We saw him move quickly in the Chapter 2 map. So we're just going to missed opportunity him. The nice thing about missed opportunity is it selects the enemy with the next upcoming turn, so it automatically picks Sorceley for us. But we're going to see Pillars of Fire again. We also in tandem Serenoa, who's going to come up and help us out here as well. And now there's Sorceley's turn. We're also going to use Giovanna again. I think this is the last map that we used Giovanna. But we're going to use that Gaia's Roar and its ability to hit in both directions like this. And that's going to clear the map for us. So this has been the resurgence for, I guess not even a resurgence, but the surgence for Giovanna, who had not been really used previously. It's nice to see some utilization for her. There's been more utilization for her, for Decimal, for Piccoletta. Historically, there had been more utilization for Narv. I think Maxwell was in on this map too at one point. So it's nice to see some diversity in the characters. '11 has a bit of a longer menu section because we are going to have to go and do the exploration for the source to see the conditions the Roselle are being treated in, and we're also going to have to go through another voting phase as well. In Chapter 11, we choose to save the Roselle. We don't turn the Roselle over to Hyzant. We do that because it's the right thing to do, and also it's faster. Which does make things a little bit ironic considering the ending that we are currently playing. Chapter 11 is going to be another map where we do the reinforcement skip as well. So we're actually going to go through a set of very specific moves to get every enemy down to a point where their HP would be divisible by 3. And then Decimal, who is naturally slower, is going to clear the map for us once everyone is in the right spot. So for this map, every character needs to attack exactly the right square with exactly the right item or the right skill. This also has one of the most complicated setups because we have a lot of people that have to change places here. This is going to be one of the longer setup phases because this map has so many moving parts and everything has to go exactly perfectly. You got to make sure that you get this one right up front. So we're going to do a Sunfall strat here too, but we're going to do a TP3 Sunfall. And this is not going to kill. This is gonna do damage. We're going to move Anna, use her double items ability to come down here and hit this group of 4. And we're going to speed through Sylvia's text.
Let us cry out their weakness. There is always a way.
This is also Frederica's battle theme. I think this is the only time that we get to hear it on this route. It's one of the best songs of the game. But we're moving Decimal down. We fired off the Sunfall we're going to use Milo's moon jump again to get the extra movement, to get all the way down here to hit behind these guys.
Whatever it takes.
We got that nice group of 4 clustered.
Try this. Ready or not, here I come.
You see, this is the showcase of Picoletta's intensive items and the extra distance. There is some RNG for how Jerome moves.
Where shall we strike?
Also, Archibald's movement is really important. You get a different inescapable arrow damage if you're on a different spot. We're using critical blow here. This is gonna put Rufus on 42, which is 14 times 3.
That hit the mark.
Decimal's gonna clear it. But yeah, you get a different inescapable arrow damage for Archibald if he's on a different square, so it's very important that you move exactly 2 spaces. It's also Picoletta's intensive items, gets you exactly to where you need to be. Milo opts to not hit Silvio, but hit in the space behind him to hit a few of those high Zant enemies. It just all has to really go perfectly, and it's a really cool strat. I think this one was also from Ninpo, which was a recent change to the route, in a pretty nice time save. This was a 10-second gold for me, and there was not a perfect setup, but the actual battle itself I think went pretty well.
Lord.
So we have this menu section of showing the guy the rock. If you do not safeguard the Roselle in chapter 11, you have a chapter 11 and a chapter 12 fight. If you protect the Roselle, you only have a chapter 11 fight. So we're jumping here from chapter 11. That was going through chapter 12 when we talked to the elder there, and now we are heading into chapter 13. So in chapter 13, you have 3 options. You can blow up the bridge and trap everyone inside. It has a really cool boat level with a Vlora. You could also try to sneak into the castle, which has a bridge level with Erica and Thalas. Or you can do what we're going to do, which is blow up the dam. And that is going to be the fastest one. It actually doesn't require us to kill anyone. It just requires us to be the only units occupying a certain area. Which means we're going to be able to use Quahaug's distorted space ability to swap places with the enemy that's guarding it, and cheese the fight. It's a very silly strategy, and it's just not something available to you in a new game run, because unlocking Quahaug takes a really high conviction value. But fortunately, because this is New Game Plus, we've rolled over all of our convictions. And so we do have access to the Time Boy. Also, blowing up the dam in 13 is a skip vote. That's just kind of an extra bonus. For chapters 11 through 14, there's also convergence between the non-golden and the golden routes. What you do in these chapters does not matter. They do diverge again at 15, and we'll talk about the choice that you make at 15 when we get there. So now we've made our decision. We're on our way to Telior. Rufus and Sylvia are dead, so it's now under S-Frost control. And so for battle setup, all we're gonna do here is we're just gonna remove a couple of fast characters. Like Frederica has the Vanguard Scarf, so she would be going first. We just pull off 3 fast characters really quick. And so now that's gonna make Benedict have the first turn.
Forward march. I see a path to victory.
And we're gonna 2-fold Quahaug, really similar to what we did in Chapter 5.
I shall make use of it.
So we can go through the light and not trigger reinforcements, but we can't end our turn in the light. So we move through it really quickly, we move to exactly this spot, and now we're going to cheese the map. So that's an incredibly fast map. It also follows up with a very quick Chapter 14. We did the equipment on Roland, re-equipping him with the critical bracelet, as well as the accuracy bracelet, because Roland has a propensity to miss if he does not have accuracy accessories. So we do equip him in Chapter 2, which saves us the time of having to equip him in Chapter 14. In Chapter 2, we have to already go into the unit menu to take Huet out and put Narv in. So since we already opened the menu, we equip Roland at that point. Whereas in Chapter 14, we're going to be able to just immediately start the fight because we don't have to equip Roland. So that's where we get the time save from moving it to 2 instead of doing it in 14 like we had been doing until very recently. So this battle is going to be to kill the 2 bosses, Erica and Thalys. And we're going to do this very quickly, but we just get to immediately start. This is going to be the first time we see the 4 dragons strat, which we will use 3 more times. And it's why Roland's equipment really matters.
Let me show you what I learned.
So Fred's going to go off first. This is going to be the last time we see her use Vanguard Scarf. It's actually the last time we use her in the run.
Slaughter is such sweet fun.
There is no mercy.
We hit Erica, and now we're gonna get Roland buffed. So we've in tandem Roland, we've given him Battle Cry, and we're gonna use 2-fold turn, and we're gonna make use of Opportune Attack. So we'll come up and double thrust. The critical buff makes that a kill, and then we're gonna use 4 dragons along with Opportune Attack to one-shot Thalys. So the critical necklace for Roland, along with 4 dragons from behind, is basically the most single damage we can do to a single unit. So there are going to be a couple of other maps where we use it, including 15, which is coming up. So when we step into Chapter 15, there's a decision that has to be made about which direction the party is going to go. Benedict wants to go back to Wolford to see your dad. That is the route you also have to take in Golden Route. Frederica wants to go back to the Rosellan village. You have to do that to recruit certain characters. You have to do all of them to recruit certain characters, but most importantly, Trish. Who we will use in Chapter 16, but we've already recruited her. We already have her. And then Chapter 15, Roland wants to stay in the Crown City, and so that map is a kill 1 enemy, and it's gonna be extremely quick. So prior to this, Quahaug had been equipped with a speed bracelet, which was +3 speed, as well as the movement bangle, which is +1 movement. That +1 movement, we needed it for Chapter 13. We're not going to need it after this. And after we go through the voting phase and we decide to stay with Roland, Benedict and Frederica are going to leave our party for this chapter, which means they're going to become unequipped. That has freed up the Vanguard Scarf. So we're going to put the Vanguard Scarf on Quahaug now, which is going to give him the first turn. And we're going to use that to set up the lightning strats for Azana in 16 and 19. And we're also going to use it to use distorted space here in 15. But we're going to be unequipping Quahaug to give him the Vanguard Scarf, and we also have to take off his speed bracelet to make sure that his turns align with where they need to be, mostly relative to Azana for 16 and 19. They have to have their turns in very particular orders. So we take the speed bracelet off now. When we also take off the speed bracelet and the movement bangle, equip the Vanguard Scarf. We're going to give the movement bangle to Milo, which is going to be relevant in chapter 19. So now we're entering the battle. This battle has a cutscene in front of it where Cordelia joins your party. We say hi Cordelia in 15, and then we say bye Cordelia in 16. We don't have a use for her in New Game Plus. We don't heal much. She's a healer. So now we're going through the menu. We're going to give him the Vanguard Scarf. We're going to remove the movement bangle. We're going to go over and we're going to give Milo the movement bangle. And now we're going to switch Milo and Serenoa. So Quahaug is going to move to a very particular spot. We're trying to warp Patriot to the bottom of the stairs because this spot is the perfect distance where Quahaug can reach him without movement bangle, and Roland can reach him without activating opportune attack. So if Roland does an opportune attack, there will be a conversation between him and Patriot briefly. So we skip the text box by not triggering opportune attack and doing 4 dragons from behind. And because when you do distorted space, the enemy gets oriented the same way that Quahaug was oriented. Quahaug was facing away from Roland, and so Patriot was facing away from Roland. And so he switched, and he's wide open for the crit. Coming up through here, we have 2 unskippable cutscenes where Benedict and Frederica rejoin your party, so we just have to fast forward and mash through these. And then we move into 16, which is a really interesting map. So no matter which route you're on Golden, you would go with Benedict. You just wouldn't have Benedict's cutscene, but you would have a different cutscene with Roland, where everyone basically recaps what they were up to in chapter 15, and now the whole party is back together. So now we're going back into the mines. We're going to see what the big discovery was in the mines. And then at the same time, I don't know, Hyzan's doing stuff, Frost is doing stuff. Everyone's going to be convergent on these mines. We also have to do an equip here, again, because the turn order is really relevant. We're going to have to give Benedict both of his speed bracelets back. And that's just because we need Benedict's move to happen at a certain time. We can't skip the minecart cutscene. It has to show us how this map works. We will actually use the minecarts on this. So we are setting up the reinforcement skip strategy. And we actually are going to use the minecart to get certain characters further in to chip damage some of the enemies. We are also going to use the minecart to damage an enemy on the track to drop that enemy into the kill range. So we've taken people out. Now we have to step in and we have to re-equip Benedict because he has to get his speed. He has to get his speed to 34 to put his turn where it needs to be. We're gonna bring in Trish, who's another archer. An important, very subtle change to this, the original setup for this, Anna and Trish were standing next to each other. If they stand next to each other, they actually talk to each other on this map. So we moved Anna to the other side, skip that text box. But now Quahaug is going first. He's time compressioning Azana to make her turn happen faster. And we're using Light Wave. Anna's first action calls the cart. Now she moves. And now her second action, we do some chip damage on that mage back there. The shield bearers have low magic defense, so it doesn't matter that we're not getting chip damage on them, but the swordsmen and the archers and not the archers, but the swordsmen, we gotta get chip damage on all of those, and the mages. So Medina goes up. We're giving TP to Quahaug and Azana to set up their strat. Benedict's movement up there is really important because we're trying to bait that swordsman down so Serenoa can hit them. So Benedict put a 2-full turn on Trish. That's going to get her back here to hit both of these characters. And now we have the first bomb set. You fail the map if a bomb goes off, but we don't get anywhere near that point. So now we're setting up Azana's turn. So we do Rite of Rain. That's going to boost her lightning damage. And now Quahaug is going to do Stop Time, which is going to freeze everyone. That's also going to make Azana's Rite of Thunderstorms be a 100% hit. But now we have to wait through all of these stops. But you can see the order of their turns is very important. So she begins casting it, now we in tandem her, and we're going to use Enchanting Spice to boost her magic attack by 1, and that's going to be necessary to get that kill on that guy that's closest to us. But that clears the whole map in one go around, and we do not activate the reinforcements. So it is a lot faster than playing it kind of the normal way. Now we are getting to the point where the different routes diverge. So this is going to be the stuff that is specific to A World Free of Sin. And this is also going to be why A World Free of Sin is the fastest route. So we are going to decide if we are going to follow Roland's path or Frederica's path or Benedict's path. We can't follow Serenoa's path because the golden route is closed off to us for a variety of reasons. But there's sort of a cutscene showing where everybody is right now and what is going on and why everyone is going to converge on these mines and why everything is going to come to a head, because salt has been discovered outside Hyzant, which changes the shape of the world as we know it. So 17 is a lot of cutscene mashing. I'm also trying not to activate the character story, which I think is for Cordelia, because we just don't use her, but she was forced to be in on that chapter 15 map, which means I now have her. I now have her character story like popping up. So I'm trying not to accidentally hit spacebar and then enter her character story. I need to play through again and just clear that story on a save file so I don't have to worry about it, because I feel like it is slowing me down just a little bit. This is the menu boss. So you have to hit down, say no, and then hit up to confirm. It's the opposite of like every menu in the game, so affectionately known as the menu boss. For World Free of Sin, we opt to convince Eredor. He's the closest person to us. We only have to say 2 things to him. And it's going to trigger something interesting. It's actually going to trigger a tie. So now we have a tie between Roland's route and Benedict's route, which means that we get to choose which way we go. So you gotta make sure you hit up. You can only hit up once, because if you hit it too many times, you're gonna wind up on Benedict's path. When we do this on a endless path route, which is Benedict's, you can actually skip the vote, and that puts you on Benedict's path. Frederica is leaving the party. She cannot abide what we're doing. Selling the Roselle into slavery. Can't really blame her. We chose between our best friend instead of our wife, but to be fair to us, we just met our wife 58 minutes ago, so we've known Roland longer. So chapter 18 has a really awkward, unskippable cutscene with Huette here when you stop at the abandoned village. It's a spot you would go in the S-Frost 9 route, but we don't do it on this one, which also has like an exploration phase. But we have aligned ourselves with Hyzant to destroy S-Frost. This is the fastest route because 2 of these final 3 are just defeat the boss enemy. Whereas on the other routes you have defeat all enemies. I believe Benedict's path has defeat all enemies twice and then defeat the boss for the last one. So that's why that one is, I think, the next fastest. I don't think Calm Seas has any defeat the boss maps. I think it has just defeat all enemies maps, and then the last map you can kill Eudor to end it. But we're now doing the setup here. This is going to be all Roland. We are so close to getting out of chapter 18 under an hour, which is just showing how far this route has come. It's wild that the Switch world record was at like a 136. The game just plays so much faster. We've put so many new strats in place. This one has not changed from the Switch era. We're doing a battle cry, light wave, and we're going to 4 dragons back here. That's chapter 18. So we get Sycris down super quick. Now we move into the next really interesting map. Chapter 19 is going to be Central S-Frost. This is where we're going to face Gustadolph. It feels like thematically from a story standpoint this should be a defeat one enemy, but that's just not, it's not the world we live in. So there are no reinforcements on this map, but it is incredibly spread out. So we are going to use the Quahaug is on a combo to clear a lot of the mess for us. We're also going to use Anna's Surmount ability. We have this cost us 0 TP from some upgrades. It allows her to use her action turn to move if she's changing elevation. So we're going to change elevation twice and go forward. Just trying to get Anna as far forward quickly to use her double items.
Is it my turn?
We start as usual with the time compression setup.
I shall use it well. My turn.
And we hold off on the fleet-footed. We're going to use the fleet-footed now. And then speaking of now, we're going to use Benedict's now.
There is always a way.
I will end this.
So Anna's going to come up and start to clear this space out for us.
For you.
I shall show you what it means to be Archduke.
And then this is why we put the movement bangle on Milo. It allows her to get all the way up here to hit them. In the old strategy, Milo actually wasn't able to get that far up. And so when we did the Quahaug is on a combo, the mage would live because the mage has a higher magic defense and couldn't be killed through the lightning strats. So this now allows us to put some damage on the mage now that they will die to lightning strats. Same here, we're going after another mage.
Forward.
My time is now.
Serenoa does nothing.
Heed me.
Now we're starting the setup. This feels long at the end, going through the stop time just because of how many units are on the map.
Come on, Quahaug.
So now we cycle through everyone. Medina did the double item setup for us again, and now we are into going to be charging Rite of Thunderstorms. So you can see Anna and Benedict and Medina's speed have their turns coming up very quickly. So we are going to have to do something with them when their turn comes up. But we are going to have Anna actually finish the fight for us.
Ineffectual.
But Azana just cleared a large portion of the map for us. Gustadolph is very fast, so he broke out of his stop pretty quickly too because of how his turn popped up. Anna actually waits through the entire duration of her paralysis, which is really convenient. Milo breaks out there. We used to use Milo at the very end as the safety strat in case Anna should have been able to get the kill on Gustadolph and then take care of the mage, because we give her the twofold turn here.
Here goes. Behold true power. Your orders?
Now we're going to use Light Wave to get up here behind Gustadolph. We're going to use Deadly Blaze, and we're just going to stab him to death.
Victory is within reach.
Impossible.
Sounds right.
And so now we're heading into the final one. This is a defeat one enemy. This has a very quick setup for it. So we're going to be taking on Svarog on a heavy magma map. Switch over and actually show my camera because I think my face is dumb. Like being very intensely focused. So this is a pretty quick setup. We're going to move Roland over. We're going to move Quahaug over. We're going to distorted space, and then we're going to 4 dragons. Fitting that Roland is going to get the last hit on this route. But it's just 2 super quick moves. Roland is 96% to hit. I have actually missed the hit on Svarog on PP pace. I think it costs about 25 seconds if you miss it. But it's 96% to hit.
I shall do my best.
Anyway, we get him set up.
How about this?
We are going to have to use Opportune, which sets off the very quick text, and then we have to get through his text, and then timing ends when victory pops up. So there we go. So that is A World Free of Sin in 105.42. This is the current world record as of the time of recording, but there has been a lot of progress on this route. There have been a lot of changes that have happened over just the past couple of weeks, and we're really excited about the potential that this game still has in it. Right now, our community summit best between Shay and myself is I believe a 104.50, so we know the route can get sub 105, and we're just continuing to try to get better, but always looking for new routing ideas. Any interest that anyone has in learning this game, stop by the Triangle Strategy Discord, which I will link in the description of this. But yeah, this was something I wanted to do. I tried to do this all in one take, so I hope I wasn't and ahhing too much. But I would like to also record commentary on at least the endings for Calm Seas and Endless Path. I don't know that it's worth doing commentary on the first 17 chapters. I don't know if it's worth doing commentary on the first 17 chapters, since they are effectively the same, but I think it is worth doing Golden Route commentary. So, but yeah, I've been Pix. You can find me at twitch.tv/Pix_6. And thank you for watching. I hope you have found this informative for Triangle Strategy speedrunning.